Damn it.
Your equipment is just as important as anything else when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. Don't have the right weapon? Maybe you need a cold iron weapon or a magical weapon. Or perhaps you need slashing damage instead of bludgeoning in order to defeat this creature. Now, I've been working for a little bit, cleaning this thing up. It had actually a lot of rust on the blade and such. And I still got a lot of work to do before it's back into proper shape. Now, you're probably wondering why I decided to bring out this rusty thing and start cleaning it up. Honestly, it's to talk to you guys about durability. Now, I know most of you will probably automatically say, but in Dungeons and Dragons, durability is not a thing. Magical equipment doesn't suffer durability lost. And for the most part, you're right. And you're also probably going to say, we don't want realism in our game. We play this to get away from realism. Well, that's fine and all. Just let me talk for a moment before you start whatever you normally do. Weapon durability is very important. You could shoot your bow 1,000 times, but I can guarantee you on one of those times that bowstring will break. You can swing your sword at the wall 1,000 times, and I can assure you it's going to break. It's going to nick and damage the edge. It's going to lose its edge. It's going to crack. It's just how it happens. But here's the thing. Now, I'm not saying after every encounter you have to do an equipment check to make sure all of your equipment's still working. No, I'm saying have an equipment check on long adventures. Maybe your adventure goes for 4 weeks. Well, maybe only 1 or 2 equipment checks would be necessary during that 4-week time span. Because, once again, it's not very hard for your equipment to lose essentially that tip-top condition. Sharpening it every other day, cleaning it every other day, making sure that, no blood has stayed on it, and the blood would oxidize and cause rust. Maintaining your weapon and your equipment is very important. So why not have it in Dungeons & Dragons? Again, not after every encounter, but after the encounters that matter the most. And only 1 or 2 times every 4 weeks. When you think the players have been going on for so long that maybe it's time for them to check their equipment to make sure it's still in good condition. And think about it also like this. In combat, you're going to get hit. It's normally just bound to happen. Maybe your cloak, took a hit for you. Or when you got hit in the back, your cloak also got hit. Well, now that cloak's not so good about keeping out cold air or the rain. That's going to need a stitching up. Well, why not? Why not buying a sewing kit so that way you can do it? And it's not only a little bit of a role-playing thing, but once again, it's a mechanic thing. Making sure that your equipment works at its best by maintaining it at its best. Now, like I said, I know a number of people are going to whine and say, that's adding too much realism to the game. We don't want realism in this game. We want, fantasy. We want to get away from realism. And I'm not saying your, views and your opinions aren't valid. I'm just saying, think for a moment. In a magic world, this wouldn't be much of a problem. But in a low magic campaign or a low magic world, maybe this would be a problem. They don't really have magic to just go poof, it's better. But they need other things to make it work. And just say, it has durability. It'll eventually break. But if you maintain it and keep it working and keep it in good shape, you won't have to worry about that so much. This sword is an example of that. It's solidly made. It's sure got a couple of nicks and dents here, a couple of scratches. But this part, where the sword and the hilt and the pommel are all connected, are very solidly made. There's no wobble. There's no give. So it's still in very good condition. It's just needing some rust removed. Needing some nicks filled in and removed. Needs its edge given back. That's all. And also think about it like this. Perhaps your campaign has you escaping from a war-torn area. You know, your players are essentially refugees escaping from their kingdom that's in the middle of a civil war. But they don't have any weapons of their own. So they have to scavenge a nearby battlefield in order to get the equipment they need. Well, if they find rusty weapons, that's all they're getting. So do they just move on with rusty weapons, or they try and find ways of refurbishing these rusty weapons to make them more serviceable, more useful? Or do they just keep up picking up rusty weapons until, well, they've run out of weapons to pick up, or they can't carry anymore, they just use them until they break? It's just thoughts like that. Anyways, catch you next time.